think Canelo's too big, so he might stop him. I don't know. But Crawford might stop Canelo. It can go either way, you know?
Shane Mosley has weighed in on the much-anticipated showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, stating with complete conviction it will be his downfall.
Has made things happen. So has Canelo. Both two generational greats. Do you give Terence Crawford a reasonable chance against Canelo Alvarez at that weight?
I can't see it.
Huh?
I can't see it.
No, not even with all the skills in the world. If he keeps him out and you believe it's just...
Because Canelo got skills too.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like he don't have skills. Like, I mean, Crawford got skills, yeah. But if they both fought at 54, I'd be like, I don't know.
The former three-weight world champion didn't hold back in his analysis of the mega fight set for September 13th at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. For Mosley, the size difference between the two fighters is simply too great for Crawford to overcome. While Crawford is coming up in weight to challenge Canelo for the undisputed super middleweight title, Mosley believes that the Mexican powerhouse will be just too big, too strong, and too experienced for the Nebraska native.
I think Canelo's too big for Crawford. I think Canelo's too big for Crawford. I think that the reason why, if Crawford was a mover like the rest of the fight, then maybe he can have a good chance with Canelo. But I think that being that Crawford is a fighter, that's gonna be dangerous. That's gonna be his problem. He's a fighter. He wants to fight. He's gonna move a little bit, but his heart is not in moving. So he's gonna have to sit there and fight with Canelo. If you sit there and fight with Canelo, and he's that much bigger than you, then I don't know.
Canelo Alvarez, who is coming off a successful defense of his undisputed 168-pound title against the tough William Skull in May, is looking to solidify his legacy further with a victory over the undefeated Crawford. Canelo's size and power have been his calling cards throughout his career, and Mosley points out that it's hard to imagine Crawford, despite his immense talent, matching the physicality of the Mexican icon.
Oh no, I definitely didn't say Crawford could win. I said I hope so. But you don't move up two weight divisions artificially and expect to win. Like, that's not something that happens, you know what I mean? I know you don't move up weight divisions artificially. You move up weight divisions when your body tells you to move up.
When I say that Saul Canelo Alvarez is going to knock out Crawford, I don't see it any other way. That means that if Bud wins, it's incredible. All of you Bud buddies who say Bud's going to win easily, once again, you're diminishing the accomplishment. What are you going to say if he wins? I'm the one who's going to give him credit more than you, who thinks it's easy.
The logic behind Mosley's comments is straightforward. Crawford is stepping up to 168 pounds for the first time in his career. Having spent most of his career dominating at lighter weights, Crawford's physical adaptation to this new class remains a question mark for many. He will have to contend with a Canelo who is already an established force at 168, with a significant advantage in strength, power, and size.
But everybody thinks, Crawford, he's a great boxer, he's this, he's that, which he is. He's a great fighter. And I think he's a great fighter at 140, 47. And he seems just to be, good at 54. Now we're going to 68.
However, despite Mosley's firm prediction, some experts see the fight as more competitive than most expect. Former heavyweight champion Shannon Briggs, known for his bold predictions, has been backing Crawford to cause a huge upset. According to Briggs, Crawford's ability to switch between boxing and fighting is key to his success.
Of Canelo versus Crawford, what did you make of all the pushing, the shoving, the build-up, the anticipation, the weight differences too?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great fight. I got Crawford by stoppage, and I known him since he was a little kid, 12 years old. So to see him now fighting for a title in such a big fight, it's a great experience, great to see.
Last question for me then: how do you think Crawford stops him? How do you think he's able to work Canelo enough for him to stop the fight, knock him down? How do you think this is possible by Crawford style?
He gonna box him. He can fight both ways. He gonna trick him up. One thing Canelo showed is that he can be outboxed. But I think this time in the late rounds, You know, I think Crawford gonna have something for him.
Briggs' confidence in Crawford echoes the thoughts of Oscar De La Hoya, who believes the fight could go one of 3 ways. De La Hoya suggested that Crawford might be able to use his footwork to avoid Canelo's power, much like William Skull did in their May clash. Alternatively, Crawford could deliver a masterclass performance, similar to Floyd Mayweather's famous outclassing of Canelo in 2013. But De La Hoya also acknowledges the threat Canelo brings to the table, pointing out that the Mexican champion's sheer physicality could overwhelm Crawford, especially as the fight drags into the later rounds.
Look, I mean, I really do think the fight, I mean, look, the fight can go either way, guys. Either Crawford gets on his bicycle because Canelo hits too hard, just like we saw with Skull, or there's another scenario that can happen where Crawford can make Canelo look bad, just like Mayweather did, okay, and just took him to school without running. Or we'll see, you know, Canelo just annihilate him because of the weight. You have to remember that that Crawford is a 47-pounder or 54-pounder, coming, and Canelo has fought at, he's probably weighed 200 pounds in the ring at one point. So, and it makes a huge difference, guys. 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds makes a huge difference. So, especially at the elite level. So, I think it's a great fight. I just think that the press conferences were freaking lame.
The build-up to this fight has sparked some controversy, especially after a staged confrontation between the 2 fighters at a press event. De La Hoya criticized the lack of authenticity in the press conferences, suggesting the spectacle lacked the usual intensity. However, despite his reservations about the promotional aspects, he remains confident that both fighters will bring their best to the ring come fight night. Not everyone shares De La Hoya's level of optimism for Canelo's performance. Recently crowned WBA regular welterweight champion, Raleigh Romero didn't mince words when discussing Canelo's last outing against Skull. Romero described Canelo's performance as disappointing and claimed it lacked the fire that fans have come to expect from the superstar.
Canelo. I hope Crawford beats the shit out of him.
Really? Yeah?
Now, I'll tell you like this, I mean, the weight division things, you know, but I hope Crawford beats the shit.
Why do you want to see Crawford beat the ish out of Canelo?
I just hope Crawford beats the shit.
Why? Like, Canelo, is it because of the last fight? Like you haven't been a fan of Canelo, or like why? Like, you like Crawford that much? Took your cop.
What Canelo did on that day was disrespectful to boxing. It was just simply disrespectful to boxing in every way.
On the other hand, UFC champion Alexander Vulcanowski, known for his strategic mind in combat sports, added his voice to the growing anticipation, calling the fight one of the most exciting matchups in boxing history. Vulcanowski, who has trained with both fighters, praised Crawford's technical brilliance and Canelo's raw power. However, he couldn't pick a winner, choosing to remain neutral and simply looking forward to the spectacle.
And that's incredible to see happening, but you know, it would be interesting to see how you know, Canelo and Crawford goes. Obviously moving up, man, Canelo's a beast, so it's but Crawford's so good, man. I don't know who am I leaning towards. Man, Crawford's so good, but Canelo having the size, I don't know, man. I can't pick it. Look at me. I literally cannot pick it. I just think I just got so much respect for both of them. I think they're both incredible, and I cannot just wait to watch and see the result.
Sergio Mora, a former world champion, provided a more tactical breakdown, pointing out that while many believe a great big man always beats a great small man, Canelo's recent struggles in the ring have created room for doubt. Mora noted that Canelo has had difficulties cutting off the ring against taller, rangier opponents, which could be a key weakness against Crawford. Crawford, who's known for his incredible ring IQ and footwork. Despite this, Mora still leans toward Canelo winning via decision, but not without taking significant damage along the way.
Canelo, Terrence Crawford, September, the super fight. I know you'll be there. Talk to me about what happens in that fight.
Hey, listen, man. You know, for a long time I kept saying, you know, a great big man will beat a great small man. That's just how it is in boxing. But after Canelo's last performance, like many people, man, he struggled against a guy in cutting off the ring, a longer guy that wasn't trying to make it a fight. And Canelo has lost a step. Let's keep it real. I mean, he's a man with over 65 fights. He's been fighting professionally since he was 15 years old. There's wear and tear. There's injury. He can turn old overnight. And believe it or not, he's younger than Crawford. But Crawford doesn't have those miles. You know, Crawford's 37 years old. He can turn old overnight. But I still like Crawford, man. He's just a mean dude. He's been bulking up nicely, doing it the right way. He looks bigger. He looks bigger than Canelo right now as far as like height, the shoulders. I think it's going to be a decision type fight. I think Crawford's in this fight, and I don't think Canelo leaves unscathed. I think he'll leave a little bruised and beat up, but he'll still win the decision.
Crawford's mental sharpness and preparation have also been recognized as potential game changers. Karon Davis, who's been around both fighters, believes that Crawford's discipline and work ethic will give him an edge, particularly when it comes to the mental side of the fight. Davis acknowledged that Canelo has more experience at 168 pounds, but he also pointed out that Crawford's ability to adapt to the new weight class might make the size difference less significant than people expect.
Have you been in there with Crawford?
Yeah.
So you've been in there with Crawford, you've been there with Canelo. What can you take from sparring both of them to gauge what's gonna happen in September?
Preparation is gonna definitely be everything. Crawford adjusting to the 168 pound division. I know he's been sitting at a heavier weight for a while, but like, you know, he's been showing his training and stuff. So that's definitely gonna help him. Canelo experience. You got Crawford, got great experience as well. It's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a good chess match. I expect a great fight. If I had to favor somebody, I would just pick Canelo because of the weight disparity. Canelo is naturally like sits really well at 168, and it's just always tough for a guy to come to 168 and come from that many weight classes up and do something like that. If he does it, you know, if anybody can do it, it'll be Terrence Crawford.
Richardson Hitchens, a rising star in boxing, echoed this sentiment, emphasizing that Crawford doesn't need to try to imitate the strategies of fighters like Floyd Mayweather or Dimitri Bivol, who have beaten Canelo in the past. Instead, Hitchens believes Crawford should stick to his own style: high ring IQ, adaptability, and precision. The young fighter stopped short of predicting a knockout, but expressed doubt about whether Crawford's skills could break through Canelo's legendary toughness.
I think Terrence Crawford is one of the most craftiest dudes that Canelo gonna be in the ring with. Hand speed, IQ, long arms, speed, power. You know, switch hitter. I just think that it's gonna be a lot for. It's gonna be something different for Canelo, but then Canelo's Canelo. You know, Canelo been first title defense was in 2011 versus Ricky Hatton, and he's still on top to the present time. So this is over 10 years. We're going on like 15 years of this guy fighting on the championship level. So there's nothing new for him. So I do believe that it's gonna be a huge fight for both guys. But obviously I'm backing Bud. You know, I have a personal relationship with Terrence Crawford, and he's a black fighter, and I do want to see my own winning. I think, you know, Bud is a great guy, you know, especially always being hands-on with the young fighters coming up behind him, guys like me, Shakur, Devin Haney's, being in the gym with guys like us, and, you know, just giving us free game and shit like that. So I think that would be motivation for the young ones behind him, to show them like, yeah, like I could do it, like you could do it too. So I really want to see Bud win that fight, and I think that he can.
Shakur Stevenson, one of boxing's brightest talents, had no such reservations about Crawford's chances. He believes the size advantage Canelo holds is being overhyped, and that Crawford's speed, timing, and ability to adjust in the ring could allow him to completely outclass the Mexican star. Stevenson went as far as suggesting that Crawford might even stop Canelo, shocking fans and boxing analysts alike with a performance that would solidify his place in boxing history.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, you know, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, you know. In certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would like apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's like physically kind of big, but like height wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so, no.
Mike Tyson, who knows a thing or two about overcoming physical disadvantages, offered his thoughts on the fight, stating that heart and determination can often make up for what a fighter lacks in size. Tyson referenced the career of Henry Armstrong, a legendary fighter who triumphed despite being physically outsized by many of his opponents. Tyson believes Crawford has the mental toughness to close the size gap and stand up to Canelo's punishing style.
Another huge event brought by Saudi Arabia. Who do you think wins that fight? Is it maybe the weight too much for Terence Crawford?
You know, there's been men that beat people like Armstrong and McLaren and these guys. They're beating people bigger than them, 2 divisions bigger than them. It's not impossible. You know, Henry Armstrong's a featherweight and he beat the middleweight champ. At 130 pounds, he beat the welterweight champ. Then he fought a draw with the middleweight champ. So I think size means nothing. Determination means everything.
Jamal Charlo, who knows firsthand the difficulty of fighting Canelo, offered some cautionary advice for Crawford. Charlo, whose brother Jermell was overwhelmed by Canelo in a recent bout, warned Crawford not to get caught up in trying to bulk up too much for the fight. Instead, Charlo emphasized that Crawford's strengths lie in his speed, agility, and boxing IQ, and those qualities should remain the focal point of his strategy.
I like Crawford. All right, my brother fought Canelo, not me. I like Crawford in this fight, and he get to stay big. But my brother even told me that was his mistake that he made. He thought going up in weight, I got to get massive, I got to get big to beat Canelo. It made him slower, it made his reflexes slower. He'll tell you himself. He didn't feel like the Jamal Charlo that y'all seen him fight Tony Harrison. Crawford, I feel like that's the same thing as happening. You want to get big to try to absorb Canelo punches and all this, but that's not, technically, that's not the Crawford that we're gonna see. And then Crawford going up there to fight Canelo at 68, when he's not a 68 pounder, where's the motivation? Y'all gotta think about it like
Big
that.
for Crawford.
The money is good, but I don't expect Terence Crawford to be the Terence Crawford that was knocking out Gamboa, doing all. I don't expect that type of Terence Crawford.
So does it look Canelo?
I'm not picking either one of their ass.
Errol Spence Jr., who was defeated by Crawford in 2022, acknowledged that Crawford possesses the mental resilience to handle the weight jump and still perform at a high level. Spence believes that Crawford's mental preparation and focus will be key factors in the fight, and he respects his former rival's ability to rise to the occasion.
I mean, I don't know if he's gonna win or lose, but I definitely be going Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off. He's chasing greatness, so why not? Canelo came up to 175 and all that, and fought Kovalev and fought the other guy too. So I mean, if he can do it, and he started at 147. So I mean, if he's doing it, why can't Crawford do it?
Trainer Robert Garcia provided a more tactical perspective, suggesting that Crawford could start strong with his quick footwork and sharp movement, potentially disrupting Canelo's timing early on.
You know, use your skills, speed, try to fight on the outside, and he does have skills, man. He is a real talented fighter, so I think he's gonna put up really good rounds, maybe at least 5 or 6 rounds. He's gonna put up really good rounds. Eventually, I think later rounds, Canelo starts catching him, breaking him down. But I do see Crawford putting up. Crawford's, he's the man. He's pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. He's very talented. I think he will put up a good fight.
You said Canelo maybe later in the rounds comes on, and puts pressure on him. But Canelo more recently, the later rounds, it's a little slower, maybe gives up a couple of them because he's already kind of won. That'd be kind of a different strategy, right? Can he still do that?
It has to, but he has to, because I think the first half, I think it'll be Crawford's fight. I might be wrong also, because Canelo's also very talented. Let's not take that away from him. He's very talented. But I do see Crawford maybe taking the first few rounds, the first half of the fight, and then Canelo forcing himself to pressure and try to dominate it that way, because knowing that he might be a little bit behind, he's gonna be forced to do it. And he's got the strength, he's got the power, he's got the skills to do that too.
Caleb Plant, who faced Canelo in 2021, took a more neutral stance in his analysis, emphasizing the mental aspect of the contest. Plant believes that the fight's outcome will depend as much on mindset and resilience as it does on physical attributes or skill, predicting a close and competitive battle between two world-class fighters.
Terrence is not a regular guy. You know what I'm saying? He's special. And, you know, Canelo, he's a top-notch fighter, world-class fighter. Still on the pound-for-pound list, I'm sure towards somewhere near the top. And it's exciting. You know, Terrence is freakishly strong. He can punch. He's got good crack. He can fight from both ways. Orthodox southpaw. He can fight at mid-range, close range, outside. And he can fight going both ways. So it's exciting. It's exciting. It's a big question mark on the end of it, though. So that's why, you know, I'm sure all of us are excited for that bell to ring and, you know, be able to find out firsthand.
Teddy Atlas, known for his detailed breakdowns of boxing matches, questioned the validity of some of Canelo's past victories, suggesting they may have been influenced by favorable matchmaking and physical advantages. However, Atlas praised Crawford for his discipline and precision, arguing that if Canelo underestimates him or fails to deliver a flawless performance, Crawford could indeed pull off an upset.
He had trouble with a 154-pound guy when he went up from welterweight to that. So now he's going up to 168. Teddy, come on. How are you going to make an argument? You're going to make an argument to this, to the history of this sport, where little guys have been able to beat big guys, because you reverse it. You reverse who's got the advantage and the disadvantage. Yeah, the size, the power of Canelo, he's got the advantage. Then all of a sudden you go back and you say, wait a minute. The other guy's faster. The other guy's craftier. The other guy has more options. The other guy is slicker. Oh, maybe he's got the advantages. Like the first time Pacquiao fought De La Hoya. And I know De La Hoya was having trouble with weight and all that. I get it, and that's fair. But still, I remember I picked that one. Every once in a while I pick one right. I remember that I picked that one where Pacquiao's going to win. And I said, yeah, you're saying that De La Hoya's bigger, he's stronger, he's got the power edge, he's got this edge, but the other guy's quicker. And that's going to be an edge, and it was an edge. So at the end of the day, Crawford is very, very special. I'm not saying Canelo's not, but I think he's special in a different way, where he's got instincts that not everyone has. Yeah. That it's the timing, it's the instinctual things, the X factors, the intangibles that he has. And I think they're going to show themselves. I really do. And I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait to see a smaller guy use those intangibles, use those X factors to beat a bigger guy.
Manny Pacquiao, another boxing icon, offered a balanced take, acknowledging Crawford's speed and evasive skills, but also recognizing the challenges posed by Canelo's physical dominance. Pacquiao did not make a firm prediction, though he seemed to lean slightly toward Canelo, while conceding that Crawford's talents could make the fight much closer than many people expect.
Manny, what do you think about Canelo versus Crawford? Crawford's moving up like 20 pounds. What do you think? Good. Good for Canelo. Good for Canelo? No. Don't worry. 16 years old. Listen to me. Listen to me. Manny, any advice on Crawford moving up in weight? You did it so many times. Any advice for Crawford moving up in weight? You did it so many times and you were successful. What do you tell Crawford? Any advice?
My advice to him is just focus on speed and the speed and style.
Amir Khan, who has been in the ring with both fighters, added a unique perspective. He was knocked out by Canelo and also stopped by Crawford, so he knows their power firsthand. Khan pointed out that although Canelo hits harder, Crawford still carries solid power, enough to get respect even in a heavier weight class. He said Crawford might be able to push Canelo back at times, but ultimately he believes the physical strength edge still rests with the Mexican star.
Crawford potentially fighting in September. You're going to get asked a lot about this fight, but as you sit here,
sort of quite a few months away. How do you look at the fight between Canelo and Crawford?
I mean, look, there's weights for a reason in boxing, and even though I got a huge respect for Terence Crawford for showing the balls that he wants to go in the ring and fight a beast like Canelo, but like I said, Canelo, maybe Crawford sees something that you know, other people are not seeing against Canelo, which is like maybe he's gone past his sell-by date, and maybe Crawford is the guy to catch him at the right time, you know. So let's see. I mean, I think it's a brilliant fight. Let's see if it happens. But like I said, if it doesn't happen, obviously I'm going to support my boy, Terence Crawford. He's a good friend of mine. Obviously we fought each other, but sometimes you put that to a side, and he shared the training camp with me last time. He spent some good time with me. I was at his house, and he always shows love. So look, he's one of the best fighters in the world. For him to go up 2 divisions is something I did back in the day when I was at the peak of my career after beating like Devin Alexander and all the big names. So look, I wish him all the very best, and I think he can do it. You know what I mean? One thing about Terence Crawford, he has great box IQ. His IQ is so perfect where he'll see everything, so yeah.
Jim Lampley, who has seen countless fights throughout his career, offered a more traditional analysis, favoring Canelo's size advantage, but still praising both fighters for their excellence.
You're not going to beat Canelo until somehow over a long period of time Canelo beats himself. If he gets tired of all the discipline he has had to employ to make all the money he's made, if he has enough giant ranches in the Yucatan, if he has enough beautiful horses, if he has had enough unforgettable dinners with Mexican billionaires in Mexico City and Vegas, then maybe. But my guess is he will retire without incurring another loss, because it's important to him to do that.
As the fight date draws nearer, the tension and excitement surrounding the showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford continue to build. With experts divided, one thing is certain: this will be one of the most thrilling and unpredictable matchups in recent boxing history.